everybody. Casey and Jessica here with you today. We are talking about overwhelm. I know I have been talking to so many people who are in a state of overwhelm right now. We're blaming it on the moon, we're blaming it on environmental conditions, politics. I don't know what I'm blaming it on, but there's always something, right? So we wanted to go over how to stay on track in a state of overwhelm. So, stay on track with your eating, stay on track with your mental health, and not just throw your papers up in the air and be like, F this. Because sometimes that's all we want to do, right? We just want to throw our papers up in the air, lay on the couch, and binge watch Netflix for a good 12 hours. And I'm not saying we can't do that the first night, but we do need to stay on track and take care of ourselves after that. So we're going to go into just some tools that have worked for us, our clients, and that would be something to kind of pull you out of that state of overwhelm and nourish you while you're in that state as well. So if you are resonating with anything, please put a heart on this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We're happy to address them. And if you want to share any of your overwhelm tips and your stress relieving methods, put them in the comments, whether you're watching the replay or you're here live. So we'll get into our introductions just in case you're new to our community, and then we'll jump right into it. So my name is Casey Kephart. I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to get you back to the activities that you love to do, trash your symptoms, get your life back. And I'm the founder of the Feel Good Formula, and I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines and it's about to rain because, again, it's rainy season.
So, except for rainy season, it always shines.
I mean, the sun is shining, and then there's this big doom and gloom cloud right next to it.
Oh, well, can't be perfect all the time, right?
No.
And for those of you who don't know me, I am Jessica Melnick. I'm the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, and I help men and women with various forms of arthritis get back to living life the way they choose to, not the way that they have to.
Awesome. So, in a state of overwhelm, we all know what that feels like, right? We're stressed, we feel a lot of pressure, we may be a little more irritable and snapping at our spouses or our partners. We may have some GI distress. We may be sleeping a lot. We may be not wanting to get out of bed. Binge eating, having cravings for very comfort carbohydrate foods. All of these things can lead us into a path where we don't want to go, and it's easy to be there because our brains like to go back to what is comfortable and normal. So we like to be comfortable by eating comfort foods, right? Maybe it's potato chips, maybe it's a lasagna, maybe it's a glass of wine, and what we're used to doing. So when you're on a healthy track, it takes more effort than it does just sitting on the couch and eating your potato chips, right? And that's what our brain reverts to. So our brain likes to say, this is not safe. Let's go somewhere that is safe. And that is whatever it is for you. For me, it's on the couch with a gimlet, binge watching Netflix and eating some sort of, I don't know. Banana chips are my new thing, but back in the day, it was potato chips for sure. So whatever. Anyways, so one thing that you can do to kind of break the cycle, to also help with the overwhelm, take a nice walk. Read a book if that's what you like doing. Spend some time alone. So, some self care items that you love doing and prioritize that, even if it's just 5 minutes. For me, I love getting outside and walking. Sometimes I am such in a state of overwhelm where that even seems like a lot to do. So, I will literally just walk outside, maybe walk down my alley and then walk back. But it's something to get you out of that state of like the wheels turning, the pressure, and that if you get anxiety, it's something to kind of neutralize that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell my clients that too, because especially if you're not feeling well, it's sometimes hard to wrap your head around, doing self care or doing something to take care of yourself, like going for a walk or taking a break or doing something else that's not considered like necessary, like things that need to be done at work or need to be done at home, whether or not you have children, all the various other responsibilities.
Mhm.
I really, really want to just drill in how important having self care, like you said, Casey, even just 5 minutes, just to, shift what's going on in your brain, get you out of that state of overwhelm and that feeling of like doom and gloom that we sometimes get when we're feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Because it is a process, our health journey and getting, back to where we would like to be or to a place of, where we're feeling healthy and well. It's a process. So it's not going to happen overnight. And yes, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm changing this and I'm changing that and I'm working on my diet and I'm trying to get more movement in and
Mhm.
cooking and it's just too much right now. Just one thing. And you know what? And I tell my clients too sometimes, if it's just a day like that you need to, put everything aside, just do what you need to do to kind of get out of that feeling. And then you can kind of sleep on it, come back to it with a fresh state of mind, a fresh brain, and start again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But listen to your body. Like my walks may be dreadful for you. So you might want to lay on the couch and read. Do what you like to do. That's the whole point of this. Um, Another thing to stay on track is to make sure you have your pantry, your refrigerator, your freezer stocked with the compliant foods that you're eating. We call this batch cooking in our programs. We always make sure to have food on hand because we know what happens when we don't. We reach for the things that we shouldn't. So I know, Jessica, you always have paleo or AIP desserts in your freezer. Um, I know for me, when I am overwhelmed, I do like desserts and sweets. So that is a great idea to make sure that you are stocked with that stuff when you are feeling this way. And I know when you are in a state of overwhelm, just thinking about batch cooking can be dreadful and awful. But spend 3 hours on it. Ask for help. Ask your spouse. Ask your mom. Ask your kids to help you and make it fun. And then it's done and over with. You have food for the week, and you can spend that time laying on the couch and not having to cook. Whatever you feel is necessary.
Yeah, it's going to save you a lot of time, throughout that week. And it just depends. You can do it when you want to. So, some people like to batch cook on Sunday. Some of us like to do it on a Monday or a Tuesday. It's whatever,
Mhm.
whatever works for you and your schedule. And, the point is, if you do that, then, when you are feeling overwhelmed with other stuff and life hitting you, then you're going to at least have that going for you because we all know that when we're stress eating things that like junk food or other comfort foods that aren't the best for us, it just makes us feel that much worse
Yeah.
after we have those foods. So if you have some, compliant paleo or AIP treats on hand in the freezer or just food you can grab when you're hungry, it hits the spot and it's not going to give you the food hangover. So it's going to
Mhm.
help you in the long run. Yes, it might be a little bit more effort up front, but it's going to save you so much time and energy later.
Yeah, you made a good point there too, is that when we do reach for these foods that are not so great for us, it makes us feel more horrible in the long run. And it's true. So it's like a hamster wheel. You're overwhelmed, you reach for a cake or potato chips, you have that dopamine boost, and then you're overwhelmed again and you're stressed. And it's just this constant thing. So if you eat well while you're in a state of overwhelm, you just have the state of overwhelm at this point. You don't have the state of overwhelm and the shitty foods that you're eating, making you more overwhelmed, depressed, anxious, lethargic, whatever it is. So you want to make sure, most importantly, you are sticking to a good diet so your brain can think in this process of overwhelm and manage it correctly and more more
Yeah.
healthily.
And I just wanted to mention too, I know you and I, Casey, we talk about this and jokingly sometimes, but it's so true. And a lot of people don't think about it, is the food hangover. Like a lot of people think, well, I'm only ever going to feel hungover if I have too much alcohol, or maybe too much weed if you live in a state or a province where it's legal. But it's the food hangover is a real thing when we eat a bunch of food that is not good for our body. We are going to feel worse, not just physically, but mentally. So all the things, it affects our mood, it affects our energy, it affects, well, I think our mental health in a lot of ways. And yeah, physically we have that food hangover. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Rest. I mean, we keep saying this, but let's just put it on its own bullet point, rest. So, for me, I have always felt guilty resting in a state of stress, in a state of overwhelm. It's always been push, 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 push. And Jessica, I know you are the same way.
Yep.
And this is why we're here talking to you because of that, we developed autoimmune diseases. Because of that, our adrenals are shot. And that did nothing for us. So you can get more done and think more clearly when you are rested. So when you don't rest, you're actually getting less done, being less productive, more stressed, more unhealthy. So some things I do to help that guilt when I'm just laying on the couch, because that is what my body needs at that point, is say, I'm going to be more productive after I do this. My body needs this to feel healthy. And it's like this future talk that I keep saying to myself so I don't feel guilty. Do you have any insight on that, Jessica? Like, what do you do?
Like in terms of letting ourselves rest.
Yeah, not feeling guilty for it.
Yeah, no, it's still a work in progress for me for sure. Cause I know both you and myself are like very type A, we're used to like working and having a business and, all the things and going to school. And like for many years, I was working and going to school. So it was almost like after that was done, it was kind of like, okay, well, now I'm just going to fill my time with other things and do. But like you said, it made me sick. And so I have to realize that if I actually want to keep up doing what I'm doing, I need to take time away for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that when you do take that time to rest, your brain functions so much better if you just take some time away. So like you said, go out for a walk. Like, gosh, like 15 minutes even is enough to clear somebody's head. And you know what? Sometimes if I'm having like a really rough day, I'm just like, you know what? I'm like creating more problems for myself. I'm taking the last 2 hours of the day and I'm just going to do something else, something else that I want to do that doesn't take brain power or whatever it is. Because sometimes you just need to in order to clear your head so that it works better again. And then you get more done. It's really not effective when you're pushing and you just don't have it in you because you're going to make mistakes and it's just going to take you like 10 times as long to do it. So picking and choosing what you're going to work on sometimes. And yes, taking a step back when you need to.
Yeah, and your lack of rest could directly correlate your overwhelm. So if you were to rest, your overwhelm might just go away. So think about that too when you're finding yourself stressed and overwhelmed. Is all you need is a nap or to take a half a day off? Maybe. The house isn't going to burn down the next day, that's for sure, or that day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The mess is not going to ruin your home for half a day. It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I like to have my house very orderly and tidy, but sometimes it's like those dishes can wait. It's not going to be the end of the world if I don't do them tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, I've become too good at that. So now I'm waking up in the morning with my dishes that I didn't do, and I'm like, gosh darn it. But that's
That's
a
my
story for a different time.
that's my meditation time, Casey. That's when I do my dishes in the morning. It's just quiet, and I do the dishes and like think about my day, plan my day. It's very calm.
Yeah, I'll use the dishes as an excuse to take a break. And it is a break for me because like you said, it is very meditative. I look out the window and like you just start thinking. So no, you make a good point. Leave the dishes, do it tomorrow for your break of meditation.
Yes, unless you hate the dishes, do something else.
Right.
Just an example.
Right.
One of the other things too, I think is super, super important, and I really wanted to talk about this one today was pacing yourself. And this is something that comes up sometimes with my clients because they start my program and they're really gung ho and they want to do everything right and they want to get started like yesterday. And sometimes that can lead to them feeling overwhelmed at the beginning because they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this all right now and I want to do it the right way. And it's just feels too much all at the same time. So the thing that's really important that I let my clients know is you are not going to fall behind. You are not behind. So you're going to do this at the pace that works for you. So if you need to, take a few weeks to just do baby steps and try new recipes instead of like doing all compliant recipes at the beginning, that's totally fine. You are going to get where you want to go. And you know what? If it takes a little bit longer than maybe another person in the program, that's totally fine. We all start at different places and we
Yep.
all do things at different paces. And if we're trying not to do it at our pace, or if we're trying to do it at somebody else's pace, that's not going to work for us. We need to do what works for us and in our own way. So you're still going to get to the goal, even if that your journey looks different than somebody else's. And it's that whole comparison thing that just messes us all up. And I know that I've done it in my own life for various reasons. I'm sure, Casey, you've done it too. Um, Marie Forleo, one of my favorite life coaches, calls it compare schlager, drinking a shot of compare schlager. And I think it's hilarious because she's so funny. And I'm not funny like she is, but I love that example. Like, don't drink the compare schlager because it's gross. It's going to give you a hangover and it does nothing for you.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. So if you're in a job, I'm trying to think for examples of people in a job who have deadlines and maybe those deadlines aren't conducive to pacing yourself. What I would say to that is pace yourself in everything else in your life, right? So everything else outside of work does not need to have a deadline for you, does not need to be like done, 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 need to get it done now. So take those rests before work, after work, in your lunch hour to calm your nervous system, to calm your adrenals, to calm that stress response. Because some things we just can't control, like our jobs and deadlines and getting fired. Obviously, we don't want that. So, but you can control the things that you do outside of those uncontrollable environments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Um, Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that leads again to, we mentioned it earlier, asking other people for support. I know, especially like as women, we tend to be more than happy to give support and to help others, but it's sometimes really hard for us to ask for support. And I think that's just part of the way that we're socialized as women to be caretakers, caregivers, looking after everybody else except ourselves. And unless, we get to the point where we have no choice but to look after ourselves. And I often meet a lot of women who are at that place in their lives. And because they are having issues with their health, because they haven't put their health as a priority. And so, and unfortunately sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too, waiting to a place and till I got to a place where I was forced to look after myself because I was go and not putting my health first. So asking others for support, that's huge. I have a partner who He will actually make me food that is compliant to what I need to eat, which is different than how he eats, because he knows sometimes I am really busy with my business and I'm working on other things, and he wants to support me and he wants me to, be able to have some downtime in the evening. So he'll do some cooking for me or get groceries for me. We share cleaning. So there's things like that. I really encourage you to ask the other members of your household for support with those things so that you are able to do what you need to do to concentrate on your health and get better.
Yeah, that's amazing. I always love when you talk about Andrew. I am not fortunate to have that, but I do
You
have a
will
mom. I will
be.
be.
You will
I
be.
do have a mom who will help me clean my house if I need help cleaning my house, and will pick up groceries for me if I am unable for some reason to pick up groceries. So it doesn't have to be a partner. It can be your mom, your dad, your sister, your friend, whoever. You can pay somebody. Like, there are so many ways of asking for help. It's the first initial, you have to overcome how to ask for help, or the guilt of asking for help, or whatever is stopping you first. And you, you it's normal to feel awkward asking for help, because we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely.
um, Yeah, so delegating, we already really talked about. I want to mention having fun. That's something that I've been talking to Jessica about, but also my mom. Is like, I feel like I just haven't had fun in a while, and it makes you realize like how much community and friends and fun really matter to your state of overwhelm. Because sometimes we can get lost in business, we can get lost in our jobs, we can get lost in family and doing just the going through the motions, that we forget that we need to take out time in our lives to go do something that is fun for us. So, for example, tomorrow, I've been wanting to go to this water park near here, and we're going to a water park. And, I made time for that tomorrow because I needed some fun in my life. And that is a much healthier fun than bellying up at the bar and getting drunk and dancing. So going to a water park is what I compromised on for my fun. But for your fun, it might be, going to the dog park. It might be going on a boat. It might be, I don't know,
Just
renting a limo for the night.
and yeah,
Right. It doesn't need to cost any money for you, or it can. But that can also help wipe away some overwhelm. It can also just be a good distraction, to get you out of that funk just for a couple hours, and your cortisol levels will go down. That stress level will go down, which is healthy, and your body needs that.
yes,
So think about what you can do this weekend to have some fun if you're in a state of overwhelm.
absolutely. One thing that I have learned that I actually do enjoy, I'm not always consistent with it, but I am working on that, because when I'm not doing it, I definitely feel the effects. And so this is not for everybody. I know I don't enjoy meditation, like traditional meditation, but I know it's super, super healthy, and some people really enjoy that. But what I
Mhm.
do, and I kind of consider a type of meditation, is journaling. So I journal my goals. I journal what I'm grateful for. I talk about what's going well. I talk about, what I want to do and things that are important to me. And I think it's a really good tool also when you're feeling overwhelmed to write it out. And so really explore, okay, well, what is bothering me? Because sometimes we feel overwhelmed, but we're not really sure how to pinpoint what it is that's really bothering us. And so sometimes by writing things down, it just helps us process things differently so that we're able to really understand, okay, so, I'm feeling this way. Okay, what am I thinking? What's been going on? What is contributing to the way that I'm feeling right now, and really looking at that. and then coming up with some solutions of how you can actually address that. And you know what? Like you said, Casey, sometimes things are going to be out of our control and we can't do much about it other than trying to deal with our feelings. So instead of, dismissing our feelings or trying to stuff our feelings down, with food or alcohol or just ignoring, it's really good to just feel your feelings sometimes if there's nothing you can do about it. And I know for me, I like to talk. I know not everybody wants to talk about their feelings. For me, I find that very helpful to talk about what's bothering me, to journal about what's bothering me, because it helps me process it, helps me release it. And if possible, in the situation, for me to come up with different solutions and actions I can take to bring myself out of those feelings, then it gives me that clarity of the things that I can do. So that's something that works for me. May not work for you, but just a suggestion.
Yeah. Two things on that. One, my friend, I talked to her about journaling too, because I just thought it might help a situation she was going through. And she's like, I don't journal, but I write poems. Okay. That's a really good alternative if you don't like journaling and you are creative and artistic with poems. Write poems about how you're feeling, or poems about a life that you do want, or your ideal situation, or whatever is calling you. That can put you in a meditative state as well, and get your creative juices flowing. So one option for that. Another thing, my manager a couple years ago told me this, about journaling or just writing in general. Is when we get a lyric stuck in our mind and we just keep replaying the same chorus or the same line. We're not replaying the whole song in our head, right? It's just a couple lines. And our brain does the same thing when we are when we're trying to figure something out. We just keep going in circles and circles and circles. So when you write that down, your brain, it tells your brain like, hey, I don't need to remember this thought anymore because it's already down there. Let's start thinking about some other things. And it kind of just opens the path for more thinking and more clarity. So start writing the things down that are just going in circles in your mind, even if it's just a bullet point, and it releases something in your brain. It's pretty cool.
I love that. That's probably why I'm so much into my old school lists. My to-do lists. I can't, I just feel so much more calm knowing that it's down and I'm not going to forget it if it's written down. And then, like said, it clears your brain space up for other things because you're not constantly trying to remember things and having them circle around in your brain. I love that.
Exactly. So again, let us know what methods spoke to you in the comments or what methods you like doing instead. So that might help some other people as well. Put a love on this video if something resonated with you or if you're going to try some of these ideas. We'll be back next week. Is it our normal times next week, Jessica? I can't remember.
I feel like I think we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday next week instead of Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay. We'll be next week. I do think we have Yana on with us next Tuesday, or is that another? I don't know.
I think we do have Yana on Tuesday with us. Yeah, talking about the HPA access and I believe adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, and thyroid again. Yeah.
See, I don't have my to-do list written in front of me.
I know. Okay, so we are going to work on our overwhelm this weekend. And I hope you do too. Let us know if you need anything, would like to talk. And everybody have a good weekend. We'll talk to you later.
Everyone.